No, Sirski. That was not what it was giving. It was
Ooh.
another lesson.
It was
okay.
It was a whole other lesson, and that's fine because guess what? It brought me to the journey where I am now, and I'm finally realizing that I am becoming her.
You are now listening to The Mental Breakdown.
Hey everyone, welcome back to The Mental Breakdown. It's Earth to Asia and
Journey with Jazz.
And today we have a special guest. Who are you, special guest?
I'm Lauren Reynolds from Insight NYC Counseling.
Awesome. So last week we talked about a sense of belongingness, and this week we'll be talking about finding my purpose, living life through divine purpose. So before we get into it, we like to just ask, how's everybody doing today? So Jasmine, how are you doing today? What happened today?
Today I'm doing good. It's Sunday. I went to work, so that was a little tiring, but made some good money and came home, had some leftovers. I went to this bomb burger place. I don't eat burgers, but I had a plant-based burger. Oh my God, so good. So, I had that and just enjoying the little things today. Not too much going on, but just appreciative of the little wins for the day.
Okay.
What about you, Asia?
Well, today I had an exciting day. My brother and my boyfriend bonded, along with my nephew and my boyfriend's brother. We all bonded over paintball. It was so much fun.
Oh, your brother came up to Maryland?
Yeah, he came to Maryland and he finally met Jaquan, and that's his name. If I don't even think I said his name on the podcast. Oh my gosh. Okay. So my boyfriend's name is Jaquan. It's not a secret. Yeah, so he finally met him and they all bonded and it was so nice. It was just so nice.
So cute.
So that's my highlight of the day. What about you, Lauren?
I did some I don't know if it's auntie things. It's just adulting things, woke up and started cleaning, put on Earth, Wind, and Fire. And once that was done, it was still morning. So I felt like I'd capitalize on the day by taking a good nap, letting the, energy to take me where it was supposed to go. And that was to nap. So I praise the Almighty for that one. And then I just actually ran a little bit of an errand and still was able to kind of come for this. So today it's a winning day for an adult. I mean, it was a little struggle, just out of physical things, but I did it. I survived. I'm happy.
Yeah, it sounds like a chill day.
Yeah, we love that because when you said a winning day as an adult, because we're emerging adults, and that's what we kind of focus on here at the Mental Breakdown, just kind of navigating through this and then trying to help other people navigate through it as well. So yes, that you had a winning adulting day. That's awesome.
All an illusion. You're just failing with grace. Trust.
It's something about getting up and just being able to clean and not worry about nothing else. That's throwing the tunes. That's a good feeling.
For sure. And taking your time doing the cleaning, not rushing. You're just okay. All right.
Get a little jam out session.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So what are y'all's thoughts? Anybody can answer. What are y'all's thoughts on the topic today? What came across your head when you first saw it?
Spirituality is such a, well, if it's okay if I start, or if I kind of lead the way on that. Spirituality is such an interesting thing. Just out of a little bit of a background, I'm a therapist, so I work primarily with anxiety, trauma, grief, loss, depression. Now, I used to work in addiction for about 5 or 7 years. So, but I grew up, I grew up on Andrews Air Force Base. So I used to go to church on Andrews Air Force Base. So it was non-denominational, if you will, and they called it gospel. So that's basically where the Black people went to church, that hour. And when I actually went down to school, so I went to Spelman for undergrad, right now on my class ring, it says our whole school in Christ. So you're in the South, you're at you're at all, female school or women's school. And you kind of get folded into that, which I didn't mind. And I very much appreciated having that as a grounding line. But you're in school too. So it challenged a lot of my experience, my engagement, my relationship with Christ. And when I came to New York, you're diverse, you have so many different people, so many different religions. I already was very curious about different religions just growing up and by way of like just my nature. So I had studied Islam when I was an undergrad, did Ramadan, and in New York, right next door, you know, you could be right here in Kingston and across the street, it's Israel. So it's like, you'll see Orthodox Jews, and it also piqued another interest of mine just to understand like different religions and how that interplays with human psychology. So my minor was in anthropology and in history. I found anthropology more useful because history wouldn't do enough but teaching somebody else's. So anthropology really kind of helped me to curate that curiosity that you need as a therapist. And even in psychology, some of the origins are religious. So I just love talking about like how that informs and influences people's psyche, if you will. Like when you think about your moral code, we've had so many interesting moral dilemmas and challenges emerge even during the pandemic that made me think about that too. People who were like, oh, should I lie and get the, should I get the vaccine? Should I not get the vaccine? Should I lie about it? There was like these weird things that were happening in therapy with my clients when it came to religion too, just feeling very apocalyptic because of the times that we were in and like coming and drawing themselves closer to God, which I love to, you know, just create the space for them to explore that, whether it was my Jewish clients, whether it was my Baptist clients. And we talk about like just the intersection between the Black church and just like trauma, because you go through it. You go through it when you talk about like just the teachings, the weaponization of the Black Bible, and just debunking that and rebuilding up a different type of understanding of what that word means to be a Christian. Are you following Christ? Are you following Peter and them words in that Bible? All sorts of things have like opened up my door to talk about spirituality more than I ever thought I would be, because I don't consider myself to be a highly religious person, but I do consider myself to be more spiritual, and that has been like a through line for all of it, like just how spirituality, and that to me is just like what faith is, like just knowing there's something higher above you, not necessarily an entity or a deity or anything like that, but just knowing there's something more than you, I think has always been important for just the work that I do professionally and personally. So I'm really excited to get into it more, which I kind of did a lot right there, but that was my feelings on it.
That's okay, because I wanted to take a backtrack for a second and say, I apologize because I did not ask, Lauren, what do? You gotta let the people know what you do and you know who you are. I apologize. So let's get into it. I think that was a good segue.
God, me talking again. No, what do I do? I am a licensed mental health counselor in New York State. I'm licensed in New York State. I practice out of New York City. I've been in private practice, meaning my own self-standing practice in Psych NYC for a little over 6 months. So this is a very exciting new venture for me, but I'm a little old fogey when it comes to therapy, kind of, sort of. It's barely even like a very old science, if you will, but nonetheless, I've been doing this since, 2011, I graduated. So I went to Spelman for undergrad and I majored in biology. I got a bachelor's in psychology. I was going to put that together. No, I was not going to study biology. But I got a bachelor's in psychology, and I told you my little 2 minors. Then I went to Columbia and I got a double master's, one in education and another in psychological counseling. From there, I segued into addiction, like I said, for about 5 or 7 years, where I did inpatient, outpatient, and then I was working for a while just teaching other therapists, like how, like just more diverse theoretical applications, decolonizing therapy, understanding transgender lives or LGBTQ plus, because there was like a lot of voids in there, and teaching I really enjoyed doing. And it took me out for a little while. I worked for the Department of Health doing that for a while. Then the pandemic hit, and it was another time to pivot. So I expanded into, I guess, more of what my purpose is. And I work with a group practice which I really enjoy working with because I have interns. So I will work with students like you all who kind of like keep me young and fresh and knowing what's happening, which really ain't that much change, which is also kind of depressing sometimes. But I get to be a part of the zeitgeist of like adding to future clinicians, being a part of a tapestry that kind of like develops other clinicians' skills or approach to it. So I'm really humbled by that. I have an intern that just graduated and now she's got her license, or she's got her limited permit. So that makes me like very proud. We had a graduation for her last week. And then my other intern is graduating in August. So I'm like really excited to be, you know, like just a part of that, because I remember when I was on that. And now with my private practice, I predominantly work with Black women. I can't even just say women of color. It just makes me feel great to say like I'm working with Black women. But I do have a very diverse group of clients that I work with when it comes to like just every identity you can think of. And I work with individuals and couples now, mostly high function, like I said, with depression and anxiety. I'm telling you, when I was working in addiction, it was real. It was real.
I'm sure.
But now it's just kind of like lightweight. My clients come to me. I had a very interesting session yesterday. It was an emergency session. I'm freak this in. And she's like 24. She's dating this guy. I'm sorry. I don't know if you guys curse on here, so I'm not going to do it.
You're good.
So it's like, and I could tell it. I could tell he's a fuck boy. I could tell it. So she said she wasn't gonna mess with him. And then I knew she was still gonna mess with him, right? So it was so funny. She emails me and she's all like, "Oh, Lauren, I'm sorry. I need to have a session this week." And I was kind of like, "Oh, okay, man, you doing this after the hour that I really wanted to see clients, but I'm gonna, do that." But it felt so good because my role as a therapist isn't just what I thought it was gonna be. Like, well, I'll just be this very Freudian, I'm sitting here. I can't even tell you guys. I'm almost embarrassed to tell you what I thought it was going to look like. I was going to be this, I don't know, going to dress up. Because all I had was like these white women as these role models. Like this Alan McBeal was going to wear a suit and I would be in there and I'd be listening to someone's, I don't know what I thought it was. It was a positive craziness from the early 2000s and late 90s about what I thought a professional therapist was going to be. Because I also thought I was going to be like Wong from SVU, because I wanted to do forensic. Totally not that. I'm like a mix between somewhat of a therapist, obviously, a teacher for sure, somebody's mama, everybody's mama. Because if you are kind of like testing that off of your therapist, I tested with my therapist, even when I'm not conscious of it. You're always kind of like using your therapist as a mom in some way, whether to repair some things that you didn't do or you didn't get from your mother, or just to test it. You just never know. But she came in and she was just really sad about breaking up with this guy. And she was just like, "Oh man, I knew he was gonna be shit." And I was all like, yeah, fuck him. Yeah, for real. So because I was ready. I was on it. I was so mad, more so for my client. But just like, it was after hours. No. It was like late at night. He's ruining her Friday. He low-key ruining mine. I wanted to just chill. So we came in there and we had like this great like woman powwow of like, yeah, you fucked up. You went back to him. I told you, but it's okay though. It's okay. We're not going, and she was really upset and distraught about what was she going to be able to, allow herself to be vulnerable with men in the future. She's heterosexual. And I was just kind of like, that's just him. It's okay. I totally relate. And then I became an auntie in that. Just like, look, I've been there so much myself. And that's a little bit of the like decolonizing thing. Like, I'm not going to sit up there and act like I'm just this separate vessel who's just all like, tell me how that makes you feel. I know how that makes you feel.
I know. So I know we're like kind of off topic, but like, how do you separate that as a counselor? I feel like I'm still learning these things. I was going to say, no, how do you like separate from like, because don't they say you're not supposed to like be an advice giver? But like how do you
already said it? Well, I'm not doing anything that she hasn't already said. She came in there. She was upset. She's over it. She feels like, she just, got embarrassed and all the things that we so commonly feel as humans, not just as a therapist, as a human. You know what it feels like to get played. You know what it's like to put yourself out there to you be all like, nah, I know, I'm not gonna do that. And then like just not even gracious, to give someone the benefit of the doubt, to give love a try, and for it to show its ass in your face. You know what it's like. There is nothing wrong as a therapist. You're not going to hurt that client to be all like, I get it, that's up. Like, fuck them. She's already saying that. She's already feeling that. You are doing so much more to reinforce that rapport. She's not going to lose her respect. She knows who I am. She hit me up. Like, I have higher functioning clients who I can relate to that so much of all like, well, you know, is this going to make it too casual? Okay, that's fine. She knows that she's about to get charged. They know that they know where they are. This is not a delusion or illusion. It does not do anything or any justice for my client to come into a space with me and making me feel like, or them feeling like I can't relate in some respects. That's part of the decolonizing, right? Like, just to make you feel like non-judged, to that unconditional positive regard. And if I don't have some way of creating that space by at least saying like, I get it, like, right, yeah, and just kind of give her that space to just be frank about it. Like, no, you don't need to be composed in the gym. Like, sometimes you're gonna be erratic. And that's what we worked on, because she was gonna be shut down and just feel stupid about being played. But now she has the space to be all like, okay, I talked about it, all the things that I feel so embarrassed about or so ashamed by, but that's very normal. I did it in this space so that I can like prepare myself for outside of here, how I'm gonna act. And it was more so just like making sure that she didn't close herself off because of that. It was like, yeah, be sad after this, you know, it's gonna come back up. But you know, like, don't close yourself off. That's not what we learned from this right here. And it was been so easy to be all like, okay, how does that make you feel? What do you want to do with that? And just I mean, yeah, of course, she knows what she got to do after this. You got to tighten up, baby. Yeah, you let them get you. No, it hurts. Yeah. You know, and we had that space. She had a whole hour to sit down, to let it out. And you don't even really need a full hour for that. So often we don't give ourselves the space that when you get into therapy, you're surprised to come to the end and be all like, oh, that's all I needed, like a good little 45, 60 minutes. Oh, all right, okay, maybe I got a little more in there, but I feel good.
I feel better, right?
Yeah. But if you go into a space that really isn't giving you that full bandwidth to like let all that come out, and sometimes that's relating to the client just a little bit, you are doing your client a disservice more than that, to make them feel a little bit like, oh man, like I can't believe that, like I put myself in this position, and let them know like, no, everybody has had that experience.
For sure. Yeah. Jazz, how'd you when you thought about the topic, what did you think of?
We done gone way far from that. I was just in tune with the conversation. I was just listening. When I thought about the conversation, I really thought about this very moment in my life, like everything that I thought about my previous self. And I thought about the woman or the role model or the people that I used to look up to as I was younger. And I'm starting to walk into and become everything that I wanted to be years ago. And so when I saw it, I was just like, wow, like I'm really putting my foot forward and actually putting in the work and the effort to find and be completely I guess immersed in my purpose, and like trying to really ground in what is my purpose. And I think when Miss Lauren was talking about how she kind of
call me Lauren.
I'm sorry, I try to be respectful, but Lauren was talking about how she kind of like transitioned from all these different careers and moving from this place to this place, and then finally having her own place to do the work that she has been called to do. It's kind of crazy to me that your purpose, you've always been grounded in your purpose, but it can take many different forms. And I think I also don't want to get stuck in this like mindset of like, I have to have my own practice and I have to do this and I have to do that. And it's like, let God and let life flow you where you need to be and where you need to go.
Let the divine lead you, for sure.
Yeah, so that's kind of where my mind went before the conversation, and then also just listening to Lauren speak. So yeah.
Oh, I love that.
I think for me, when I first thought about the conversation or even like just brainstormed it, I started thinking about just my name, my Instagram name that I came up with like a long time ago, Earth to Asia, and just how like it has been built upon many different aspects within my life and who I am. And it's just like, I'm just seeing it, like Jasmine saying, starting to flourish within who I am becoming today. And so I also, today I was reminded, I started thinking about hair stuff and how Jasmine and I used to do hair in college. And I think within my bigger purpose, which is holistic wellness, I love holistic wellness and like just looking at wellness and everything at a bigger spectrum than just, okay, well, let's look at health. Let's look at, are you fit? Are you eating healthy? Are you mentally well? Are you spiritually well? But I got reminded anyway, I got off topic for a second. I got reminded that Jasmine and I used to do hair together. And within that bigger purpose, the holistic wellness was a smaller purpose. And I think that was Jasmine and I to work together. So we have this podcast, right? But we also have been working together since undergrad, doing hair, like I said. And then also we did, was on the same, we were on the same thing called Ladies, and that was basically called Ladies Adding Distinction in Every Stride, and it was a club. And so I think, us being here is something that was a divine purpose, because it wouldn't have continued to come back if it wasn't in our purpose. So yes, I say all that to say that I think that we are supposed to be here.
All right. That's my best friend's name. And so she has a whole brand built off of, I'm sorry, her name is Nia. And purpose is in it's Swahili and Nia. Well, Nia is Swahili and purpose. Whatever. You get what the hell I'm saying. Because I done heard that for about 34 years. So trust me, I knows it. But she has always been, interestingly, like a huge component of me understanding or just exploring what purpose means. Like even when like I first found out that Nia means purpose, we were just all like, wow, like, and this is young. Like, what does purpose mean? And we've had this weird, like, fascination with words. It started when we first started to take the PSATs, and we were just looking up all these words, and purpose just always stood out. I love that. Next to unique, those are my two favorite words.
I think I really like divine.
Mm-hmm.
I want to get a spine tattoo that says divinely protected.
I love it. That's a dope one.
That's cute.
Yeah.
But
oh man, Jess.
Need you back. Okay, you're back.
Good, because y'all was frozen too for a second.
Oh.
But so my question to you was, you talked a lot in the beginning about spirituality and how it plays such an important role in people's lives, and its place in people understanding who they are and what they, who they are as individuals. And so I wanted to ask you, like, you said you weren't necessarily religious, but how does your, I guess, spirituality play, or how has it played a part in your purpose and you knowing, understanding your purpose?
I think what I can credit religion for is like reinforcing my resilience, and what I try to encourage in my clients, especially like, let's say, one of the more difficult pathologies like depression. Right now, very often it is hard to find someone who's struggling with depression to also feel very faithful at the time. But I remember in my, well, it's years ago, but I need to claim my broke days. But yes, in my broke college days, undergrad days, there's different, phases of broke that I've been into. Like, I'm not poor now or broke, but like, I'm always broke. You know how it is. But in my very poor, broke, destitute days of undergrad, I mean, when things were a struggle, I remember like just praying very fervently. And I was attending this church down in Atlanta. I decided not to attend one of the big churches, just because like I just didn't want to get engrossed in some of the gross stuff that was like, it was cash flow dollar, and I'm like, I had to be careful with like what I was going to indoctrinate myself into.
Yeah.
If I was going to explore religion, now that I wasn't at home and I didn't have my mother's like just expectation, have a pressure of like, oh, you need to go to church. It was all like, oh, that's what people do. You know, we're from the South, essentially. Like, okay, girl. But when I go off to school, I don't know, we're going to see. But I still found myself going and just, I think also playing the role of it. But I went to church and there was this random sermon that I was listening to, random sermon. It was like a Tuesday night Bible study. And he was like, when you're feeling your worst, you're your most prayerful. It really helped to ground me when I was a baby clinician. And I think that it was something important that I always wanted to have as an ingredient as a therapist for my clients too, something to just ground you and keep you there. It was something important for me. Like, you just need to have something that grounds you. If it wasn't necessarily going to be religion, which funny enough, everybody has something that they want to ground to, like something spiritual that they want to feel grounded to. And I just use religion sometimes. More times than not, my clients are open to it, but I always let them know, like, you know, it doesn't have to be any sort of religion, but like, what is something that, you know, humbles you or quiets you or brings a sense of peace or calm to you that we want to honor right now. And that's where we'll kind of start off when it comes to like spirituality. Like, why don't you want to honor that being? And that being could be you. Mary said it's the God in you. If it's you, if I have a narcissistic client, honor yourself. If you're struggling with depression, then I want you to just know that just being here is enough for God. It's enough for Jesus. Mm-hmm. So sometimes I'll use, religion in that way, but it grounded me at a time when I really needed it. And I think that it can help others too, in the essence of it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think spirituality, I'm a preacher's kid, so I've grown up in church my whole life, but Asia knows, like, I've kind of moved away from the whole religion and Christianity. As a preacher's kid and always being at church, there are certain things that I just don't necessarily agree with, certain things that I don't necessarily align with anymore. Not to say like me and God, we here, you know what I'm saying? We got a connection. But to follow a religious practice, to me, is saying my God is real, your God is not. And so I think that was the turning point for me when spirituality really became more of my avenue for connecting with God, because it was a more unique way of me connecting to God. And so, yeah, I think that has truly been the pinnacle and the foundation of me finding my purpose and like really truly being able to say, no, yeah, this is where I ground at and this is who I am, like, as a person. So
I do want to add, I have a great church that I go to now that I love because it allowed me to challenge some of the words in the scriptures that I grew up just kind of like digested as like my pathway, and always had issues. My sister is gay, and I was kind of like, my sister is more religious than me sometimes. And I don't think that she was holding on to religion because, for anything more than it just brought her a sense of comfort and peace. And she always says it never bothered her about like how people would use the church and be all like homosexuality is a sin. She'd be like, yo, man, we good. I was like, what? And she's younger than me. I was like, what? How are you okay with this? I would be uproarious about it and just be like, I can't believe this. How you gonna look at me? And my sister would like just drive us to church and be like, call me up, like, hey, you going to church on Sunday? Like, nah, I'm good on it. Why are you going? And she was like, it brings me a sense of peace. She is the coolest person in the world. And it just showed me like God's love in that regard of just like, that's important. And I remember my pastor said one time, like, are you a Christian or are you a Peteran? And he was talking about like the scripture that you're following. And he was challenging some of the elders in our church at the time, because I go to church in Harlem and pastor is, relatively young, if you will. He's like in his mid 40s, went to Morehouse. He's a Q, wife's a Spelmanite, she's a Delta. So they have like these very progressive views, and they brought it into a rather old church because Harlem is just known for churches. We got about 500 in like a 10 block radius. You easily could, because it could just be somebody's brownstone, like easily. And I was kind of nervous about finding a church when I had moved up to New York, because I really was all like, oh, they're not religious up here, but I didn't want the religion that I was experiencing down there. So I was torn, and I was all like, I want to like get this religion thing into a place where I don't have to like feel so troublesome or feel so torn. And when I went to it's First Corinthian Baptist, and he was like, you know, well, what are you? Are you following Peter's scripture, Paul's scripture? Who is it? And he said this to somebody that was like asking him a question during Bible study, and they were just like, well, the scripture says this. And he was all like, what do those red texts say? What does Christ say? And he's not saying a whole bunch that's like very condemning. He does a lot of, well, Jesus in the context of like being a man in this respect, of like similes and metaphors to nature. And like, it's pretty simple. Humans, man, y'all make this stuff complicated. And I fucked with it. Ever since he was like, it's your relationship, you know, I'm not going to tell you how to dictate it, but be careful whose words you're using to dictate it from. Mm-hmm. And he's just all like, you know what? That's where I really want y'all to have. Like, I don't want you to worry about what I say, what my sermon is right or wrong. And I was all like, bet. I will tell you, Glenn Arden gave me an issue because he did Youth Sunday one time and was like mocking the kids. And that's why I was like, that's the issue. That's why people don't want to have that relationship. He was like, yeah, you need to talk to your parents, right? Not wear your saggy pants. I was all like, why would you do this on Youth Sunday? Like, this is why we have an issue with this. This is why we feel so misled and judged and shameful and embarrassed. And you end up, you know, feeling embarrassed about the dumbest things. You're 23, a dude does a dude's dirt, or like a human person, but you know, that's true. But, and now you feel so embarrassed because you gave them a chance. What? She felt like a hoe because, you know, she opened herself up. Like, what? It was the craziest thing. Then I was all like, don't let none of that get into your head. You did what every person would typically do. It's just, we have all these different doctrines that have like been implanted in our head, that when we have those real adult moments where we need to challenge or dismantle these things, we don't have the full skills. So thankfully we have a therapist that can relate to you. If y'all like, it's okay. You are not that broken. You are going to be fine. You will find a person that's going to annoy you the least, you know, the least best way out of here. And that's just like what it's all about for me. And we had a good little moment in that session. I really did kind of oddly enjoy being in there. We had a spiritual moment, I even think, because I connected to her. I remember feeling heartbroken the first time, you know, and like how I was all like, come on, God, like I really put myself out here. Like I'm really trying out here. You keep bringing these things out in front of me. Like, what do you want me to do? What do you want from me? And it was all like, another thing, it was all like, why would God want bad things for you? Yeah. It's not like, where would the church why would they want that to do? Like every bad thing is coming from like some challenge that God wants to put on you. No, it's just normal things. They're not bad, but we have this fear if something bad happens to you that you're being, you know, punished because you didn't do something right. Like what? Right. Yeah. Jesus was wilding out here, throwing money, popping bottles, doing all sorts of stuff. We sitting up here judging each other. Like he got mad. He had the same feelings that every other human has. Yeah. It was all like, you know, it is what it is. It kept it moving.
I think I love that. I'm very similar to the both of you as far as how you look at spirituality. And I think that I love that I can connect to it uniquely. I even kind of tie in spirituality with my locks. I was able to do that. And then also like through nature and everything. So I'm with y'all. I love the uniqueness part of it and just kind of setting your own tone when it comes to spirituality and not necessarily, okay, well, because I consider myself more spiritual than religious as well. So not necessarily saying like, okay, well, I follow this and this is this and the rules are this and it's set. It's just like this. I think that, you know, that's my favorite part about spirituality, that it can just be kind of just however you want to make it. I love that. I tie in my locks with spirituality. I love that I can tie in my health with my spirituality. I love that. My favorite part about it is that I have my own practices and they're unique to my lifestyle and not necessarily like what everybody else kind of does. I still or kind of, you know, do. I pray. I still pray. I journal. What else do I do? I think that my healthy lifestyle ties into my spirituality, because when I kind of, keep a clean body, I just keep my mind right. It keeps my, like I said, my spirituality right. It keeps obviously my health right. So I think, being that obviously I look at everything in a holistic way, it kind of covers also my spirituality.
And keeps your vibes high. Keeps the vibes high. High vibrational foods keep you high vibrational. So,
for sure.
So I agree with that. But yeah, Lauren, how do you navigate helping others find their purpose? Like, because you're a therapist and you deal with people who have anxiety and depression and even couples and things like that. But like, how do you, people who are kind of lost in the sauce, how do you get them back on track and kind of understanding who they are and grounding them in where they need to be in life?
I would say, like, just being a guide for your purpose isn't necessarily something that I've seen myself doing. I think just really encouraging my clients to trust themselves is more or less what I find myself encouraging in space, in therapeutic spaces. Like, I do believe there are other helper professionals, like a life coach, that really kind of massages that into their work or folds that in. It's not that I don't do purpose work, but I don't necessarily
intentionally type of thing.
Intentionally do it. If my client is saying like, oh, I have a couple of, I think all of my clients are unique and dope. Like, honestly, I just love their steeds. And for the most part, it is kind of like them like brush it up against me in therapy, if you will. Just like, okay, I had this idea. What do you think about this? And it's all like, okay, well, I might do the 40th thing. Like, what do you think about it? How does it make you feel? Where is it like drawing this joy from you? And if I see like them talking about something, I'm like, oh my gosh, that makes you so happy. It makes me happy. Like, what is this? Like, what can we go? How do we feed into this? Because this seems like something that could, like, really motivate and drive you towards what you want out of life. And we'll just kind of go with that.
So how do you because I know, at least for me, fear plays a big role in me stalling or procrastinating or not engaging in the things that I know inside of me, like, trusting myself and knowing that what I'm doing or where I'm trying to go is exactly where I'm supposed to be. And I think fear kind of keeps me from doing that. So how do you relieve the fear out of your clients or even yourself? Like, how do you combat fear? Because I think most people, if not all people, kind of deal with that.
The way you combat it is just confronting it and just pushing through it. It's not going to go nowhere. And it's there for a reason. Fear, just like anxiety, is a natural part of our bodies. And when you treat anxiety as something that's natural, you can almost make it a supplement to what you're doing or what you need to do in order to get through it. So with my clients, I'm like, what do you fear? Like, when I talk about anxiety, I'm like, it's helping you discern what's helpful or harmful in your environment. So this is something that you're fearful. Is it something because it's been something helpful or something that's been harmful? And if it's been something that's harmful, let's work on that. Let's talk about like all the components of that you have control over or that you don't have control over. What can we let go that we don't have control over? Or what can we prepare ourselves for if we do anticipate, this is something that we have a realistic control over. If it's something that's, helpful, that makes it a little bit easier. It's like, okay, let go. Like, yes, you're going to be afraid. It's natural. It's scary. But it's okay, you can do it. Like, because you're already talking about it, like you're already doing it. And I think that like just giving them that encouragement, like that's a cheerleader thing. That's kind of like, I think about like as a mom thing, well, at least in respect for my mom, like where I kind of get that spirit from of like, all right, you're gonna be okay, you're scared, you're gonna be okay though. even if you fail, you're going to be okay. Like, it's fine. Like, I want you to fail. Like, I want to encourage my clients to be all like, all right, you failed, so let's figure it out. I do this thing with my clients every week at the end of our sessions. It's called mental health meal prep. So like, what do you have coming up in the week? How do we prepare ourselves for that? What are some things that like we can control or we can't control about that? Depending on the season, depending on the thing that my client is doing, we have like a whole routine for that. I have this client, she's a dope artist, like dope artist. She's out of Howard, and just like she's on her shit. And so she has some shows coming up, they're really scary, and it's like, all right, okay, that is scary. That's a, you know, that's a big platform. What do you want to do?
Yeah.
You know, what can you do, and what do you want to do, and what is the most realistic thing that we can do?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, I don't want to invalidate like, oh, I would love to do this and da da da. It's like, all right, okay, I get it. You know, sound a little Kanye, sound a little cocky, but look, let's get into something that's a little bit more, because I don't want to even rain on that parade. I do want you to like go like full throttle, even if it sounds unrealistic. I think your purpose, you need that encouragement too, for it to be unrealistic. Mm-hmm. And for you to just gotta go like off the edge just a little bit. Like, I'm not gonna let my client be all like, oh, I have this, immersive art exhibit where I want to slip my wrist. Crazy,
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
it would just be so crazy. Like, I do challenge in that regard, but I do want to create a space that you are challenging yourself to push your limits, but in a safe space. Mm-hmm. To fail, to succeed, whatever it is. That's kind of how I think, how much intrusion I have into influence into that work.
I love that meal prep thing. I might have to steal that. I might have to
honestly.
I love that one. But before we move into our tip of the day, this is kind of how we close out, Lauren. But before we move into it, we didn't kind of like say what I can kind of assume from just listening to both of you what you guys' purpose, are, what you all's purposes are. But can we just kind of say like what your purpose is, and when did you feel like, okay, now I found out my purpose, and I for sure know that is my purpose. When did that happen for you? And what is it?
I can go first and then let Lauren, take the floor. Yeah. But I think I got this message one day, and it just, after that one day, kept recurring and recurring. And it sounds like cocky when I say it out loud, but I truly feel like I'm supposed to change the world in some way. Like, I feel like that's part of my purpose. And inside of that is to help and heal people. And so mental health counseling is an avenue for me. Fitness is an avenue for me. I'm a wellness junkie. So everything that has to do with wellness and the holistic, like Asia, I'm totally into it. I totally side for it, because especially the Black community, I feel like it's my duty and my purpose to help and heal the Black community. And my way, or the way that, has been presented to me thus far, is through health and wellness. And I get so passionate and so invigorated by helping people talk through certain things, or by giving people this list of nutritional foods to eat, or helping people work out. Like, it's like this, I don't know, like I get this real bubbly, tingly feeling when somebody's like, I really appreciate the help and the work that you've done for me. So that's kind of when I knew, or that's when I got that message, like, you're meant to advance the Black community in some way.
So was that when you were like, when you got out of college? Was that in college? Like, was that before college?
It was during undergraduate for sure. And it was, I remember the day. I think because my dad is a pastor and I look up to him so much, that I wanted to embody the healing spirit that he has for other people. Or I watch people and how they reverence him and how they speak to him, and how he just has this calming and therapeutic energy to him that people just gravitate towards. And I think that that's something that I've always wanted to embody since I was little. But as far as me feeling like I have a larger purpose within the world and the community as a whole, definitely college. Like, I can remember the day I was literally driving in my car, and I was listening to a podcast, and it was just like, yeah, you're gonna change the world. And I was just like, it like overtook me. Like I was like almost ready to cry. So
Oh.
yeah.
Well, I kind of spoke on mine already and kind of already previously on the podcast, but mine is definitely holistic wellness. And Lauren, I don't think that you know, but mine I have known since like I was really, really young. It started basically with a natural hair journey. And I went to like hair expos. I basically went natural. I think I want to say end of 5th grade year going into 6th grade. And I ended up going to like a natural hair salon and they taught me a lot of things. And then my mom and I ended up going to like natural hair and natural lifestyle, like expos. And that's kind of where like all this holistic, natural earth to Asia stuff kind of came about. And kind of like Jazz was saying, the reoccurring trends within my life and things that would just pop up and events that would just be like, that people would bring to me like, hey, you want to come to this? Or this is really cool. It just kept happening. And I mean, that just fell into my life. And that's how I just know, because of the reoccurring, things throughout my life, I just knew that this was my purpose: therapy, holistic wellness, helping others. That's how I kind of found out. So I knew since I was little, like really little.
I think even now though, also like people are starting to affirm that. Like I walk into a room or I meet people and they're like, oh my God, you have such like a therapeutic, calming spirit about you. And I'm like, you know what? Thank you. That was the vibe I was trying to give off.
So thank you.
Yeah. I don't know if y'all feel the same way, but I get that a lot. Like people will just randomly, people I don't even know, just spill the tea on me in the grocery store. Just, I don't even know, just randomly.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Come up to me talking. I'm like, okay. All right. And I end up giving a little bit of advice. I'm like, well, I guess, yeah, this is what I'm here to do. This is why I was going to start a business off of it. So, yeah.
And for you, Lauren?
I had a very simple thought when I was younger that honestly hasn't really changed that much. I guess it was like to save someone's life. And I think my addendum is just through normalizing mental health. It does not look one way for anyone. If you have physical health, you have mental health. Everybody has it, and everybody's a little dysfunctional. So if you just learn to love yourself for how you are, take care of your mental health like you take care of your physical health, you take care of yourself, period, you can save yourself. And I mean, I've had the honor of someone saying it to me, and it's still an ongoing thing. I don't know that like I really have the fulfillment of like I saved that person's life per se, but I definitely do feel edified from the work that I'm continuously doing. Like I think there's this thought of like, once I did it, then I know. Like, I mean, addiction, you go through a lot of saving someone's lives.
Yeah.
But also, like, I don't always know the entail of all of my clients that I work with. I also went through some very traumatic ends with the clients that I work with there that I had no control over. And maybe I did have an influence on, their demise, or rather their overdose in most cases. But I know that it ultimately doesn't really rest in my hands. It doesn't rest in I guess, in fully anyone's hands. It's just being a part of this world, this ecosystem, and just trying to do a little bit of good at a time. And I do believe that even for my clients who struggled to the disease of addiction, the disease of like schizophrenia, or even depression for that matter, that it did help. It helped because they had a moment of relief that you don't always get in those dark spaces. So, I don't know. It's continuously evolving. I listen to so many different people talk about like what they want out of life and what really they feel like their purpose is sometimes, that I feel like if I said, this is what it ultimately is, that I'll like anything, like you're always becoming. I love Michelle Obama's book, Forever My First Lady. She really hit the nail on the head about becoming. I used to always get so hemmed up about I have to be this, especially when I was younger, when I was, in high school. I knew I wanted to be a therapist, a psychologist when I was like in 11th grade. So it was like very early on. I was going to like summer camp. I took like this AP psychology. I took this college course when I was like a freshman in high school and for psychology. And then when I came in, I was just like on it. I was ready. I was like, I'm taking this to the top. And then I got in school, so I was like, well, maybe I'll need to take it to the top. It's a little expensive up there. So I could pivot. I applied to Columbia and I actually applied for their doctoral program. And then I got into their dual masters. And I was all like, I really felt some sort of way. So it started to kind of like really rearrange how I saw myself or what I thought I was going to be able to do through this work from there. Because I have it in my senior journal, actually, my senior yearbook, that was all like, my goal is to save someone's life. Because I wanted to be a doctor when I was really young. And I was thinking like, I was going to be getting my doctorate with this. So I'm going to be Dr. Lala, Dr. Lawrence somehow, which I still may go for, but it was boxing me into how I thought I was going to achieve this goal. Because even when I said save lives, I only thought about a doctorate, like a doctor orientation, because I still was of a generation that's all like, you're gonna be a doctor, a lawyer, engineer, and saving someone's life. Okay, well, you're gonna do that through a doctor or maybe a lawyer, more than likely a doctor, because that's the more noble, but you can do it you can save someone's life through music, through spirituality, through all of that. And I really wanted to commit to opening myself up to the possibilities and the potential of my purpose. When I first kind of like realized, someone said it to me, someone literally said to me and kept saying it. And I actually have a client now who really says it a lot. And it'd be making me feel uncomfortable. Like, oh my God, Lord, you saved my life. You saved my life. And I'd be like, okay, girl. All right, I get it. But it makes me feel uncomfortable because the whole time I keep saying, I was like, no, it was you. We did this work together. Like, trust you, me. I was not going through it in the same way that you were. And I was like, you know what? It's okay. It's okay. You can claim this. You can receive what she's saying. And, just reshape or reform what you think you had that much influence into when you were saying like, I'm going to save someone's life. So I had to kind of like do some resorting of how I thought about like saving someone's life. But yeah, I think that's what my ultimate mission is. But it's just normalizing this stuff and just making people feel good about themselves.
Yeah,
for
sure.
Go ahead.
Nope, I was about to transition right into the tip of the day, which I think you're about to do too.
Yes, so I am about to transition right into the tip of the day. And I think my tip of the day would be to obviously find your purpose. And if you don't know your purpose or you're having trouble finding your purpose, talk to somebody. You might not have, the funds or whatever to get a therapist or, whatever, but use your resources and talk to somebody or, experience new things, because through experiences and just through life, just doing different things, you may find your purpose. So that would be my tip of the day. Yes, find your purpose. Yes, but talk to somebody and live through experiences to try to find that purpose if you're having trouble.
Yeah, and I think to piggyback off of Asia's tip of the day, mine would be to just explore, and like anything that brings you joy or anything that fuels your passion, do that and see where that takes you, because that ultimately that's how it got me to where I'm at. And I'm still working and still striving, but I have a grounding basis in where I want to be and who I want to be. So just like explore everything that brings you joy, makes you happy, explore everything that intrigues you and makes you wonder like, oh, maybe I would be good at this, those type of things. I think that might be a good starting place for somebody who might be lost and not.
Yeah, when you get that tingly feeling, that's how you know. When you get that tingly feeling, going to continue to do this. And I don't even really, obviously, you do care about getting paid. Let's not say too much.
The
but
money
like,
will come though. The abundance
money will
comes.
come. Like, you're just doing it and you're just loving it. And you get that tingly feeling when you're doing it. That's how you know.
Right. I would say, to add to that, if it's okay,
Of course.
trust and honor the God in you. I think just to kind of, bring in the spirituality. I believe there's God in everyone, whether it's Allah, whether it's Yahweh, there is a God in you. There is a power, there is a highness of, divine order that is covering you, and, trust it. That tingly feeling, that's God. That joy, that's God. Those things that really bring the eunice of you to its full potential, that's God. And don't deny that, honor it, celebrate it, and reinforce that with all the things that will do you a good service in this path and in this journey.
Yeah, I love that.
I love it too. I love all the tips of the days. So Jasmine, well, before Jasmine does our closing, because we usually say where they can find us. So before Jasmine does our closing, where can they find you, Lauren? And where can they find you on social media or wherever?
Okay, well, I'm not really doing a lot on my social media pages, but I do have a page for my counseling site. So it's Insight NYC, and that's N as in the letter N, site SIGHT NYC. And that's at Instagram, and insightnyc.com is my website. That's just us. That's just how I keep it very streamlined, simple. I'm on LinkedIn. It's easy if you just email me if you are looking for anything else more deep into that matter. Yeah, I'm not popping on Instagram or TikTok or anything like that.
Do you do virtual counseling and in person? Like, do you do out of state? Can they come to you, anybody, or just New York?
In New York, unless they're in New York, I only see my clients in New York. Now, my clients in New York are out of state. I can see them, but I can't see my clients. I can't see clients from Maryland or from North Carolina right now.
Gotcha. Okay. All right, well, guys, you better go follow her, find her on her website.
That's right. I'm gonna look her up.
Support Insight NYC.
We love that. Support your Black therapists.
Oh, and I'm on Therapy for Black Girls.
Period.
And helloalma.com, which is this listserv of therapists directory.
Love that for you.
Love it. So if Jasmine would be grateful to do the honors of our closing.
Absolutely. So thank y'all for watching. We are so grateful and so thankful to have had you today, Lauren. You have been such a light to our podcast. You're our first feature. I'm trying to think of the word to use for you. Our first guest. Our first guest. And we just appreciate you so much for taking the time out to talk to us and, be a part of this ongoing community that we're trying to build. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Lauren. We really appreciate it.
We do. But you can follow us at TMBD Official on Instagram, at the Mental Breakdown Podcast on YouTube. And we're streaming on all platforms: Anchor, Spotify, Apple Music. Is that all of them?
That's pretty much it. And then YouTube.
All platforms. Okay. You can find us anywhere. And you can follow me at journey.w.jazz, and you can follow Asia at
Earth2Asia.
We love that. And we look forward to seeing y'all or hearing us in the next episode. And y'all have a great rest of your day, rest of the morning, whenever you're listening to this. And we pray that you just continue out the week with abundance.
Yes, have a great Ashe. Have a great week, guys, and we look forward to talking to you next week. Peace.
A peace out.
Thank you for tuning in to the Mental Breakdown Podcast. Please rate, subscribe, review, and follow us on Instagram at TMBD Official. See you next time.